Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever this video finds you, I hope you're having a rad time. I'm the Figure Dude, and on today's Figure Showcase, I bring my personal favorite superstar, wrestler, whatever of all time, Shawn Michaels. Without further ado, let's talk about some figures. Dude. Welcome back. Like I said, today on the showcase is my favorite wrestler of all time, Shawn Michaels. Not arguing whether or not he's the best, but he is one of my personal favorites. I grew up a Shawn Michaels fan. I remember my dad always thought he was just cocky and annoying, and my dad was right. But as a kid, yeah, I gravitated towards it. A lot of kids, obviously, a lot of adults, teenagers, you name it, gravitated towards Shawn, especially in his DX days. I don't know anyone who wasn't crotch chopping in elementary school, and I had plenty of fans that weren't actual wrestling fans, but everyone was doing the crotch chop, the DX chop, whatever you want to call it. But in my heart of hearts, I knew it was because they're all real Shawn Michaels fans. So, I want to do the showcase today, and this is like the Rollins one, where I went through my collection just picking them off the shelf and realized, holy crap, I have so many Shawn Michaels figures. So this is going to be a good showcase. I'm really excited, but I figured I'd start out with the first Shawn Michaels. So, the earliest Shawn Michaels we have is his Rockers attire with Marty Jannetty. This is the Legends figures. I was not collecting when these came out. I did get these off Ringside shortly after I started collecting, I want to believe, when they used to have a ton of loose figures on there. Because they had like a hurricane, I think, hit the warehouse. So they had all these wrecked boxes, all these figures loose. And I picked these up for like $13.99 total. I didn't realize this at the time. So like Flash, Rey Mysterio, I remember he was like $6.99. They were all these sweet figures were so cheap. Rick Martel, like all the Legends figures that people weren't buying then, were so cheap, and now you cannot get them. But these guys were a couple I managed to pick up. This is the only Marty Jannetty we've gotten, and I am very glad they're in my collection. But that is going to be my first Shawn Michaels. Next up, and these aren't going to be in chronological order, I'm just going to kind of pull from my pile, kind of try and keep them maybe in like a general... No, I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to pick ones and go off the pile, and then just put them all together at the end, because I have a ton, and trying to put them in order as I go is going to take me really, really long. So we've got WrestleMania 12 HBK. I swapped the head from the TakeOver figure, that Ultimate Edition. I bought like 5 of them. I also bought a bunch of the first Ultimate Edition, the black and red one. I can't think of the attire. Was that the Montreal Screwjob attire? But I got knee pads for this one. I added knee pads because he did always have knee pads underneath his tights. I don't like having my Shawn Michaels figures without knee pads. And then you can see he does have the double jointed arms because I swapped the bicep from that first Ultimate Edition I swapped the forearm onto the bicep with that first Ultimate Edition. So I did as many swaps as I could to give the more iconic Shawn Michaels figures ultimate torsos and double jointed arms, and this is one of my favorites. You can see I do have the earrings on this one. Raise your hand if you are a victim of Mattel's removable earrings. I've lost a few. I did randomly find a couple just like on my carpet the other day, which was cool, but out of the I think I said 5 Ultimates I bought, I probably have like 2, maybe 3 pairs left. Here we go. I have another of my Defining Moments torso swaps. You can see he's got that Ultimate torso swap, double jointed arms on the ringside exclusive DX figure, which is a little bit polarizing. It is an attire we all wanted, but it left off all the blue detail on the X's, which was super disappointing. I did also swap the Ultimate boots on there, so he's got the toe articulation. Shawn Michaels used to always like carry his belt folded up, so I use some of the plastic ties from the okay. I use some of the plastic ties from the packaging to like keep it flat, which I'm not going to do with all of my figures because I don't want them all, or all my belts, because I don't want them all flat like that. But with a couple Shawn Michaels figures, don't mind it at all. I also took, so he's got the I see it keeps saying defining moments. He's got the Ultimate Edition head, and I did paint like a 5 o'clock shadow on him, just a little bit, because he had some times in that era where he didn't look the best. He wasn't necessarily clean shaven. So another ultimate fix up. You can see the knee pads do have some scuffing on them. I had the green DX decals on them, but the entrance attire kind of scraped them a little bit, so I need to redo those. Other than that, just another ultimate / elite Shawn in my collection that I absolutely love. Lastly, here is the last fix-up of the Elite Shawn Michaels that I have. So, last fix-up, last torso swap of this torso specifically. So, I do still have the Ultimate Edition that came with this torso originally, but this is the last one that I swapped the torsos on, and this is probably my favorite Shawn Michaels figure. I love the head scan. I think this is the best head scan they've ever done for him. It has that braid in the back. The head scan itself is like, I think it's a little small, but I think this is the best likeness they've ever captured with Shawn Michaels. Again, WrestleMania 14 attire. I don't have knee pads on him, but I will eventually. I'll add those, but same as the others, double jointed arms after doing the forearm swap, which is one thing you can't do that with the new Ultimates because they have the pinless arms, which as a sacrifice I'm willing to make. But at the same time, like with guys like Shawn who had cool wrist tape, it's nice to be able to swap these on the old Ultimates. So just we'll see at the end. I'm going to put them all together. I'll line them all up, but this is probably my favorite Shawn Michaels figure I have. Next up, I decided to throw all these three on at the same time. I didn't do anything to these. These are official Mattel Elite releases. I know I'm not the only one. A lot of people wanted more of the Chaps HBKs, and we recently we got a bunch. We got this DX one, which is, gosh, I don't even remember where he wore it. He just kind of had his run there with Triple H where he was wearing these tights often, or chaps often. We've got the WrestleMania 26 HBK and then the SummerSlam, and I love these. I wish we got more of his entrance attires or entrance vests. He has so many that are so cool, and there's still so many attires I'd love. I really would like a WrestleMania 20, is it 21? I believe is when he wrestled Kurt Angle. I'd really like that one. Yeah, 21? Pretty sure it's 21. Can you do something for me? Anyway, I had to get these in here because they're part of my collection, but these are just official releases, so we're going to move on here, check out a couple more of my customs. Alright, right when I said we're going to look at a few of my customs, I guess we do have a custom right in the middle. But I decided to grab the other Chaps HBKs. I think those are all the ones I have in my collection. I don't have the Camo DX one. I would like that one. I've never had the opportunity to own that one. One day, though. So we've got WrestleMania 25 HBK. We've got WrestleMania 23 HBK, I think. That's when he was still coming out to DX Music. That's when he wrestled Shawn Michaels. I think that was 23. My mind gets a little foggy going back on some of these Ruthless Aggression WrestleManias. Then in the middle, you can see I have a Crown Jewel Bald HBK. When we got this basic, I thought it was hysterical. I just happened to have some extra HBK pants, and I said, what the heck? Why not turn this into an Elite? He's deep back on my shelf. I like to just not look at that one, but I thought it was a funny piece to have in the collection. Next up, we've got a couple more HBKs from that late new gen, not quite Attitude Era time, and we've got the Elite 19 / Lost Legends HBK, which I always thought this one was really cool, but the further we've gotten away from it, just the plain black and silver is just kind of boring. But the time of it, the moment that this is from is a little more iconic, I suppose. I think the entrance gear is really cool, even though it's not completely accurate. But then you can see my custom here. It's got double jointed arms. Same head scan, but I did paint the shadow on his beard, which I think makes it look 10,000 times better. But it is his Royal Rumble attire from when he fought Sid Vicious with the flu for the WWF title. They said he had the flu, I believe. Who knows if he actually did. He was going through a lot there. But again, knee pads on my customs. I always liked this attire because it was unique. It's not just a different color scheme. He's got the Texas, the state of Texas on his knee pads. Obviously, he's got the Texas star in his hearts. I always thought it was a really cool attire. So as soon as I had spare parts, I hopped on it. I knew I had to make this. Alright, next up you can see I have one custom, and then I have the original Ultimate Edition that we got of HBK, and that I love that. I love that Ultimate Edition. The head scans, I don't love those original head scans. I just don't. I look at them and it just doesn't scream Shawn Michaels to me. The second round of Ultimate Edition we have, I think that head scan is really good. You can see on mine, again, I did paint his 5 o'clock shadow on. I just think that makes the head scan look so much better for that time. And then I did put a little more work into the O'Neal boots. You can see the O'Neal on the front. You can see I painted the inside of the boot. And then it's just kind of a different color scheme than what we're used to with Shawn. It's black, but then we've got blue and gold and white, which is just a little bit different than most of the attires that we have gotten, at least from Mattel. And the only difference I did, with the head, I also cut off the piece of hair that was hanging down, and if there's another favorite of mine that's going to rival the WrestleMania 14 Shawn, it is my custom. It turned out really well for what I was planning. Alright, we are starting to round out my collection here. We have Shawn Michaels, and these are all about from the same era. On the left, we have the ringside exclusive, and then on the right, we have the Legend 17 figure that just came out. And you can see, vest is exactly the same, but the attires differ a little bit. So the boots are red as opposed to black, obviously. Same knee pads, but then the ringside exclusive is the white and red. And I'm pretty sure Jax did this exact figure. The vest was not quite the same. They just used the normal vest mold. But the ringside exclusive, because it looks so much like that classic Superstars, was extremely nostalgic for me. And double arms, true effects, all of that just wasn't big enough of an upgrade for me. And then they went on 50% clearance, so I did get the Legends figure. But I love the ringside exclusive. That is a very nostalgic figure for me. And during this time, I wasn't really watching. So I was born in '92. I wasn't watching a ton. So going back and watching Shawn Michaels wasn't my favorite. I grew up with him when he was already an a-hole. So I lost my train of thought. Anyway. The figure in the middle, I think that was from the WrestleMania set. One of those exclusives. I don't remember. Another one though, I really like the entrance attire. I want the entrance attire for every Shawn Michaels we get. But you can see all these guys about the same. Head skins are all a little different. The ringside exclusives got blonde hair. The middle one's got brown hair with some blonde ends. And the one on the right, the Legends, is just a lighter brown all the way through. Also, small credit to Sensational Sherry. This figure is phenomenal. I don't think it got enough love. It's kind of clunky to move around, but it is beautiful. It goes fantastically with the Shawn Michaels. Alright, like I said, we are finishing up. I only have a few left, and all of these, I take that back. There's one that is not a custom. But this is a fix-up. I put the ultimate takeover, the Amazon takeover torso onto the WrestleMania 10. I got this on Work in Progress Wednesday, one of my unboxings. I got the figure, and I cleaned it up a ton so it looked good. And I just love the attire from WrestleMania 10. It's just very clean. It's white, and then the hearts. Like, there's not a lot of extra. And I mean, obviously the match itself is iconic, but I really, really like this attire. I do want to fix up the boots so that they have all the logos and everything, like the TR logos, whatever boot logo may have been on at the time. This Shawn, I do have the normal the pinless arms that they originally tried. They're not double jointed, but they are pinless. I liked these arms. I thought that they had like decent size to the biceps, as opposed to some of the other arms that I think their double jointed arms now are too skinny. But I'm not a huge stickler, and really I'm not hard to please. This is not my favorite, but it's definitely high on my list of HBKs. This one kind of came about accidentally from some spare parts. You've seen all of the Ultimates that I have swapped torsos on. This was just leftover. So I took these tights. I took one of a different torso, which I think this might have been an AJ Styles torso, but I'm not positive. You can see it has the chest hair. But then I got some Shawn Michaels some biceps. I put the white tape on them, and it just made myself a Ruthless Aggression era Shawn. I know a lot of people ask for the Chapped Shawn from Ruthless Aggression era, but there's a bunch of attires when he was still wearing tights that I would really, really like. I know we're getting a Survivor Series Shawn Michaels soon, and I know that MDT also said he wants brown attire Shawn Michaels, and I don't know if anything would make me happier. That Survivor Series from 2002 is my favorite pay-per-view of all time. One, I was 10 years old. I was right in that spot to just like love wrestling, where I was not quite sure it was real yet. I was totally into the characters. Shawn Michaels was back, and he was my favorite. I hated Triple H. I didn't want him to win the belt. Brock Lesnar was huge then. Jeff Hardy was on the card. He's another one of my favorites. We were just getting into the SmackDown 6 with Edge, Rey Mysterio, Los Guerreros. I just think that card is so stacked, and I am super, super nostalgic about that. So if we got that 2002 Shawn Michaels, I would be extremely happy. But back to this one, this was just kind of I don't even know if he necessarily wore this specific attire. He had color schemes like it that were pretty close, I believe, but it's got the basic 100 head, and I think that this works perfectly fine for a Ruthless Aggression representation until we get an official one. Next up is the SummerSlam Shawn, and again, this was the Network Spotlight figure, and I swapped the Ultimate torso onto it, made him a little bit bigger, and I've seen people argue that it's a little big for Shawn, and I think they haven't quite nailed the scale down for their Ultimate torsos. I like where they are. I like the butterfly joints. For some guys, like the Lesnar that just came out, it's big, but he's a big, intimidating dude. I think for the smaller guys, they haven't quite figured it out, or there's not enough variance in their torsos for, to my liking, at least. You can see I did put the boot designs on these. It's got the TR on the side there. And then I did add knee pads, and I've seen other people do this as well. It's Miz knee pads. I can't remember. It's like a basic figure, I'm pretty sure. And then I just painted those zebra stripes on there a long time ago. But Network Spotlight arms, I did modify the pegs a little bit to fit on those Ultimate shoulder pegs, because they're a little bit different. But I think that's it. Didn't do anything to the head. I like that head scan. We don't get that on a lot of figures, but I like the mullet on it more than I like the likeness. But I think it's fitting for Shawn Michaels there. here we are. The Ultimate I've been talking about so much that I bought 5 of to swap torsos. Comes with the entrance gear. We've got double jointed arms. We've got a red and white attire, which I think is really cool. We've got a hat. We've got glasses. I don't remember if he came with the Intercontinental belt, but I have the IC belt on him. I love this figure. Again, it's not my favorite. Dang, it might be. I don't know. I gotta get them all lined up next to each other, and maybe I'll give you my top 5 once we get them all lined up. Once I can really look at things here. But this figure, I know again, some people, the torso is a little bit polarizing. It's a little bit bigger, but I think like visually, that's like the body type that he had, and I really like this figure. And last of my showcase is the aforementioned 2002 Survivor Series Shawn Michaels. I got the head scan idea from someone on Instagram. It was a long time ago, and it might be saved in my phone somewhere. I tried to look, I couldn't find it. It is a Billy Gunn Legends hairpiece, which I just happen to have one extra. And I modified the head of another Ultimate figure and put this hair on to get that soccer mom haircut that Shawn Michaels had. And the torso is not Ultimate, it's just his normal Elite. Although I might, so this figure ended up being a little bit short. Maybe I'll swap an Ultimate torso on there to give him a little extra height. But I needed this figure, and I know that Shawn Michaels hates this attire. I don't think anyone liked it. I think it's just iconic because it's so different, it's so ugly, but the moment itself was huge. Like Shawn Michaels' return, we didn't even know if he was going to be around, and then he won the World Heavyweight belt, which I think was the last time he won it. The decals are from Curbstomp. I used some boots from Barry Windham and just painted them black. The black knee pads have the traced logos on them. On the sides here, he's got the H. It just says H on both sides. Like, these are just awful tights, but it's so, like, especially for me. I talked about how iconic it is. It's so nostalgic. I need this figure in my collection. So I'm holding out hope that we get this figure and we get that short hair head scan, and we can make a WrestleMania 19 figure when he fought Jericho. We can just pop that head scan on a bunch of stuff. We can get an NWO Shawn Michaels. I mean, you name it. I'm waiting for a good head scan, in a good short hair head scan. So I'm going to stack up all of my figures. I'm going to put them in the ring, and then I'm going to give you my top 5 of my collection. I'll be right back. Alright, let's wrap this thing up, and I'm not going to get too detailed with why I ranked things. I honestly will probably start doing a top 5 series with maybe like top 5 figures in this collection, Shawn Michaels collection, top 5 Attitude Era figures, stuff like that. But just real quick, I'm going to put these in order and give a really quick reason why and wrap this thing up. So, number 5 on my list, like I said, I love this figure. I did mull over all these options a little bit, so number 5 is going to be the WrestleMania 12 Shawn Michaels with the fix-up here. I like it, just not as much as I like the other ones, so it had to be in my top 5. I'm going to leave it at 5. Number 4, the Ringside Collectibles exclusive Shawn. Like I said, this one's super nostalgic for me. I really like that Shawn. I like the attire more than I like the Legends, but I didn't want to put it higher on the list because it doesn't have true effects. It just has the plain torso, just plain Elite torso, and no double jointed arms, which aren't a massive deal breaker. Obviously, it's still in my top 4 or 5 figures, but I couldn't put it higher. Next up is my first full custom, and it's my Shawn Michaels that I talked about. Honestly, the favorite part about my custom is the boots. I used a different mold. I used the like Kofi Kingston mold, or the new Seth Rollins have like the kick pads that actually stick out from the boot, and Shawn Michaels always had like the big like his dirt bike boots, and I really wish they'd stop giving him just plain kick pads and at least give him something which is what I did with my custom here. I really like the size it gives to the boots. I like how the decals turned out on there. I like the upgrades I made to the head scan with the little piece of hair not on there and the 5 o'clock shadow. So I put that at number 3. I am going to cheat a little bit here. I have a 2A and 2B. So I put the Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 14 Shawn Michaels, 2A, and 2B is the DX Shawn Michaels from essentially the same period. They both have awesome entrance gear. The WrestleMania 14 is missing the color. Like, he had red and like blue, I think, sequins, and they're on the jacket. They're just not colored. They're not colored on the chaps. But the figure itself, I love that one. I love the DX figure too. I really like the entrance vest. The chaps are good, but then it's missing the blue. So I didn't want to put it on I didn't want to put number 1. I did kind of go back and forth though. Really, had I put these in any order, I would have been happy. I truly love all these Shawn Michaels figures that I have in my top collection. But that'll bring me to number 1. Number 1 is the Ultimate. This is my favorite Shawn. Not necessarily the attire. There we go. Trying to get him to stand up. But just there's just so much to it. Double jointed arms. We get the different colored wrist tapes, so not just the plain black gloves. We get the full entrance attire. We've got the hat. We've got the glasses. We've got the chaps, which are different. They're not the rubber, they're soft goods. We've got the vest that is big enough to cover that whole Ultimate torso. I think the head scans are good. I've talked about that because I've used it on some other figures. I think the head scan's good. I think it captures this time of Shawn Michaels well. It's got the white boots, which is just a little bit different, and obviously we don't have the decals and all the detail on there. But I think this is their best Shawn Michaels figure they've done, and that's why it's my number 1. So that is going to wrap up today's showcase. If you like this episode here, there's plenty of others you can go check out. I've got a Seth Rollins one that was really cool. I got a lot of Seth Rollins figures, so it was kind of the same. And then another thing I do is try to get like stables in different groups. So you can click the video that pops up here to check out some more showcase videos. Please like, share, subscribe. I always appreciate it. Once I get to 500 subscribers, I am going to do another figure giveaway, which we are currently in the midst of my first giveaway. So you have the rest of this week and next week to send me your information, get your name put in on the giveaway. Other than that, remember, you can't buy happiness, but you can buy figures. Figure Dude out.